If you're grappling with what to watch, go no further. Coach Donaldson always watches the show, so rally around your TV and celebrate. Your life is much more balanced when you pin your hopes on us. Sports Night is next.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Sports Night. I'm Joe Young.
I'm Howie Sprone. Everyone needs a more balanced life, don't you think?
Absolutely, and a little extra punny way to start the show is always good. We have a lot of stuff to talk about, a couple more previews, one more hopefully this week, but it will be dependent on the weather to some extent. We'll start right away with the boys hockey team. Started last week's play with a trip to take on a previously undefeated team in Waconia on Tuesday. The Wildcats had outscored their opponents 17-6 in their 4 games this season, but they weren't prepared for the speed of the Cardinals. After a slow start, the Birds took flight in the second period and soared to an impressive victory. Wildcats up 1-0 after the first, but Ben Kish breaks free early in the second. He's able to slide it home as he's tripped up and crashes into the net. That evens the score and lights the fire under the Cardinals. Buzzing in the offensive end midway through the second, Eli Bowden finds Tyler Barsness in the high slot. Barsness with a quick release gives Coon Rapids a 2-1 lead. And they keep the pressure coming. Trenton Tyson leading a 3-on-1 into the zone. He takes it himself, an absolute snipe to the top shelf. Tyson had 2 goals and 2 assists against Waconia. Just a minute later, Cardinals force a turnover at the top of the zone. Barsness alone behind the defense. He nets his second. Put Coon Rapids up 4-1 going to the third. Cardinal power play early in the final period. Barsness takes it around the end, tucks it in the short side, completes the hat trick. Cardinals had 4 power play goals and a shorthanded goal in a 9-3 rout of the Wildcats.
Yeah, it's really nice to see them lighten the lamp quite a bit. And Tyler Barsness, I think he has, last I looked, had 11 goals, I believe. So that's a pretty nice start to the season.
Yeah, Trenton Tyson's off to a nice start. Eli Bowden's off to a really nice start. They have a lot of guys that are doing a lot of great things on the offensive end. Unfortunately, they ran into a couple of little stronger teams on the weekend. Back-to-back games Friday and Saturday. They welcomed Champlin Park, and the Rebels were not very nice. 51 saves for Austin Durkop in the loss. Tyson and Bowden had the goals for the Cardinals. Alphen, Engberg, and Espinoza each had assists. Then on Saturday, they traveled up north to Duluth East. And the crazy thing about both of these games, that Champlin game was a 1-goal game early in the third period. This was a 1-goal game midway through the second. But then Duluth East able to pull away. Eli Bowden did have 2 goals and an assist. Ben Kish also factoring in on all 3 Cardinal goals. Barsness and Novak each getting a point. But look at the saves. 55 saves for Will Wagner in that one. 113 shots against in those 2 games.
That's crazy. I mean, and the fact that both goalies made those kind of amount of saves, too. I mean, even though you're scoring 8, 9, and 8 goals, respectively, you're still getting a lot of saves. You're still getting a lot of work for your goaltenders.
Well, and you talk about the offensive start they've had. They have to be better on defense when they play those conference games, because the conference games are all as fast as, like I said, against Waconia. Waconia not quite prepared for the speed of the Cardinals. You look at teams like Champlin Park, Duluth East, not a conference but a section team. They're going to be ready for it. Maple Grove, who will host the Cardinals on Thursday, always going to be ready for it. And then on Saturday at Anoka, those are a couple of big games for the Cardinals coming up this week to try and right their ship and keep themselves above 500.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly it doesn't get easy from night to night to night, depending on how many games that you're playing. But the fact that they're trying to get their basically play offense and defense and play them both in the same game.
Well, the girls hockey team a little further along in their schedule, and yet another overtime game for the Bluebirds last week. 1-1 going into the extra frame. They lose to Rogers 2-1 in the extra period. It's the 4th overtime game of the season for the Bluebirds, their 3rd loss in the extra session. Oswego had the lone goal for Champlin Park Coon Rapids. Then on Saturday, they took on Wayzata, and was no need for an extra period against the Trojans. Bluebirds blew past them 7-2. Oswego, a 4-point night, 2 goals, 2 helpers. Lily McKenzie had a goal and a couple of assists. Bernovic also a goal and an assist. Kylie Scott and Shelby Julian each had 2-point games with a pair of assists each. And now they get another chance at Centennial Spring Lake Park, a team that handled them pretty easily a couple weeks ago. A chance for a little payback at Centennial this week.
You know, I don't know where Wayzata is this season. You know, typically in years past, they've been a pretty stellar team, and for them to handle them like that, that's a pretty nice quality win. And
it would be even more quality to come back and make it 2 in a row by beating Centennial.
Yes.
They've got Anoka on Saturday. There's a whole day of hockey events at the Crick with both teams participating.
Well, the wrestling team had just one meet last week, but it was the first dual meet of the first conference meet of the year. The welcome Andover to the Fieldhouse on Thursday, and the Cardinals were underdogs against the Huskies. If the Cardinals hoped to have a chance, they had to keep it close through the lower weights, where the Huskies are the strongest. Unfortunately, that's not the way it went. The first 7 matches ended early. Jack Bridenstine pin at 113 was the only one of them that went into the Cardinals' favor. All the bonus points add up to a 37-6 lead for Andover through 8 weight classes. Cardinals captain Carter Skradsky stops the bleeding at 160. He out-battles Andover's Jackson Armour for a 5-0 decision. The Huskies clinched with a decision at 170, but one of the other captains, Kenny Wells, keeps his strong start to the season going. He pins George Johnson late in the second period. Wells now 4-1 on the season. And Hayden Skillings, he's going to end the night on a high note for the home team. He takes just 58 seconds to pin Andover's John Pena, but Coon Rapids on the wrong side of a lopsided score, 52-21 the final in favor of Andover.
Yeah, and the Cardinals dealing with those short numbers, missing a couple of guys on Thursday night in those middle weights that might have been able to help at least slow it. But yeah, when they're getting pins and tech falls, those points add up quickly. Cardinals will host Elk River and Two Rivers on Friday this week, and then they'll be in Monticello for a tournament on Saturday. Gymnastics team got its second meet of the season in the books, and they saw their score go up by 3 points. So good to see progress from week 1 to week 2. They hope it will continue. They're still well below the kind of scores that Rogers posted, but Ada Drummy led the Cardinals in each and every event. Cecilia Aureli and Lily Newton also factoring into the scoring for the Cardinals. Well, for the second year in a row, it took some last-minute recruiting to save the season for the Cardinals gymnastics team. They graduated a couple of girls and had a couple of girls that decided not to come out. But through word of mouth, they built their numbers back up, and they're looking forward to a really fun season.
Yeah, that's really where our numbers have come from, is just recruiting within your own social circles.
The Cardinals only had a couple of girls sign up initially, but they got the word on the street, and soon they had more than enough to field the team.
A lot of them are like friends from friends, and honestly all of them are just really nice and fun to be around, and they're a lot of the girls are open to doing new things, which is what we need on this team.
The newer Cardinals will have plenty of help from their veteran teammates. There are 5 senior captains for this year's squad, and they've been impressed with what they've seen so far.
They're really good, honestly. They started out really good, and they're already getting better as the season goes on, so I think they're going to be really good by the end.
There's been a lot of energy, like especially with some of the new girls. They're excited to be here. We're having fun. We're making this season about fun instead of putting too much pressure on yourself, so it's been fun.
All of the veterans are pitching in to help get the newer girls up to speed. They're more than happy to share their knowledge to help the team.
I am trying to help girls learn new skills, try to help give them tips, tricks on how to do certain skills, and how to just do well in gymnastics.
With a somewhat chaotic start to the season, they didn't really know what to expect in the first meet. But when the scores came in, they were pleasantly surprised, and they hope to see those numbers keep going up.
Making sure that we as a team just improve at every meet, and that each girl stays safe, improves, and just has fun.
Fun is key for this group. They need the younger girls to enjoy it enough that they're guaranteed to come back. And for their 5 seniors, they want to leave it all on the mat.
I think for all the seniors, it's pretty upsetting just because it'll be our last time all together, but I think we did make the best time that we could, and we still have a lot to go through, and we just keep pushing each other and having the best time that we can.
So there you go. 5 seniors helping build that team back up. I think they're at 14 or 15, somewhere in there. So plenty of girls. And the fact that a couple of them are younger, a couple of them are juniors. So they're not going to be around for very long, but they have a couple of middle schoolers, and hopefully, like I said, keep them into it and keep them coming back.
And I know their numbers quite aren't where they'd like them to be, but obviously, as you talked about, they increased their score by 3 points. They're looking to continue to do that as the season goes along.
Yeah, and they will have plenty of opportunity upcoming this week. They are at Park Center on Thursday, and then they will be at Anoka next Thursday. Swimming and diving team started its season over the weekend with the Northwest Suburban Conference Relays. It's a kind of a non-scored event, but they did finish in 3rd place when you look at it. But it's a bunch of non-traditional events. They have different relay events that you don't normally see. Kind of a fun event, but it gives them a good chance to see what they've got. And Coach Donaldson's email today, he was very excited with
very
how
optimistic.
They did.
Yeah, very optimistic. Real excited about what transpired during that. Well, the Cardinals dive into their dual meet schedule on Thursday when they travel to take on Spring Lake Park. This year's squad is a little small, but their opponents will be wise not to judge them by their size. They have some skill, they have some experience, but most importantly, they've got heart.
It feels great. It feels good to just be back in the water.
The Cardinals are small in numbers, but they've got a solid returning core that's committed to working hard and pushing to the finish.
So far, it's been very positive, just uplifting. That's something we've always prided ourselves on, is just positive attitude, keeping things moving forward. And it's definitely helped. I've seen a lot of improvements already.
The Cardinals have experience and skill throughout the lineup, and many of the veterans they will rely on this year are already exceeding expectations.
But this group of guys, a lot of them come back faster than they were even at the end of the last season. They're doing some amazing things already in the water.
The Cardinals know it'll take more than their top guys if they hope to achieve their goals. The veterans like the work ethic they're seeing early on, and they believe it can help them overcome what has been one of their biggest obstacles.
Consistency's always been a big issue. We've had people that'll win, but then it's second through fourth is the other team. And so I think kind of building up a strong group of guys that can score well. And
the Cardinals know that they'll see some great competition all season long, but they guarantee they won't be overlooked because they won't be outworked. They're committed to being at their best at the end and making people take notice.
There's a lot of people that have big goals this year, big dreams, and I think we're going to do it well. We're going to do everything we can to get there, and I think we will get there.
There you go. They want to be competitive at the end with the big teams. The goal, as always, I think, is try and stay out of the tri-meet at the end of the year. But they want to be competitive and a good first look at the relays. They'll be at Spring Lake Park on Thursday, and then they have the Bengal Invite on Saturday. So right into it right away, and it'll be fun to see what they do throughout the year. Nordic Ski Team got its season started last week with the Northwest Suburban Conference 5K Skate. Both boys and girls teams finishing in 3rd place in their race last Wednesday. Eric Casey leading the way for the boys in 3rd place. Lachlan Demmer was in 5th. Peyton Martinick in 22nd. Ludwig was 77th with Bauer right behind him in 28th. On the girls' side, they finished in pairs. Stella Bone and Ruby Demmer 10th and 11th. Fuller and Martinick 19th and 20th. Burnt and Legree 26th and 27th. Not a bad start.
No, definitely not.
We're hoping maybe we can go visit with them this week and have a little preview piece next week, but the weather is
It may be frightful.
Might be an issue.
The weather may be
We're looking at above freezing temps, possibly some rain. Who knows what that does to the snow? It may freeze, maybe freezing rain. We know that's not good for skiing on, but
or driving.
We hope. Or driving. But we hope as best we can for the ski team to have, snow they can ski on race days more important than visiting with us.
Correct.
But we hope to get out to them very soon at least. They will be at Elm Creek on Thursday and at Highland next Wednesday. Alpine ski team finally getting its season started at Wild Mountain next Tuesday, the 20th. Race number 2 isn't until after the first of the year. We talked last week about the boys basketball team, a couple of trips south over the week, and I called them out as being really must-win games against lesser teams before they start their conference schedule. Well, the Cardinals got out of Apple Valley with a win 72-58. Cummings-Coleman, 34 points, 6 boards, and a couple of steals as well. Jackson Young added 14 points, and Kenny Jones had an even 10 as the Cardinals won 72-58. I did also say last week, at least get 1-1, and that's what the Cardinals
did. What they did.
Not a whole lot of defense in this one.
That would have been a fun one to see.
202 points combined in this contest as the Cardinals lose 105-97. Cummings-Coleman, a pretty solid night with 37 points. Burnsville's guy, 48. Just throwing it out there. Jerry Freeman had 16 points, as did Jackson Smith, Jackson Young, and Jackson Hetwer were the next 3 top scorers. Get those Jacksons rolling.
A lot of Jacksons on that squad.
It's the Jackson 3 for the boys basketball team. They will host Armstrong on Tuesday, and Howie.
We'll be there.
And then they are at Park Center on Thursday. Oh, by the way, Park Center, defending champion.
Yeah, they're pretty good.
State of Minnesota. They're all right.
Before we move on from boys basketball, I want to give a shout out to Stephanie Tarr. She kept us updated while we were doing other sports, and so we could give you at least some updated scores from those games. So really appreciate
the
help.
That. Absolutely. Girls basketball team opened its home schedule last week, hosting 2 very tough conference opponents. The Elk River Elks came into the Fieldhouse on Tuesday. They were 1-1 on the season following an overtime loss and a convincing victory. Cardinals would need their offense to keep up if they hope to have a chance at the end. High tempo from the very start, not a problem for freshman Kaylin Green. Nice fake and then the finish. Keep it a 1-point game early on. Green finished with 8 points in the game. Elk River answers with back-to-back 3-pointers. Kayla Christie hits from the left corner. She was one of 4 players with double digits for the Elks. Casey Beck, the only Cardinal to score double digits. Good work to get to the lane for 2 of her team-high 13. It was 10-5 at that point, and then Elk River took over. They scored 15 straight points and 23 of the next 25. Jordan Langbin with the steal and the basket. She led all scorers with 26 points in the game. Cardinals, to their credit, never give up. Chloe Christie able to find some room on the baseline for a little jump shot that falls, but it was 51-15 at the half. Elk River cruises to a 95-38 win.
Elk River, a very solid team, and they showed you, they have a lot of talent, and they have a lot of talent back from a year ago, and so that really helps, with
size.
And the difference with the Cardinals, you've got a lot of newer players on that roster. It's going to take a little more time to gel for that squad. Well,
and another tough task on Thursday when they took on Champlin Park, and a similar result, 69-30, the final in that one. Cardinals' leading scorers all had 7 points. That was Beck, Green, and Bierman. But they are going to need to find more offense if they are to keep up in this very, very strong conference.
Oh yeah, they definitely will need that, and you're gonna see teams with a lot of size, and that's gonna hurt them as well.
Well, they are at Armstrong on Tuesday, and they will host Park Center on Thursday. What do we have coming up? As we talked about boys basketball on Tuesday, we will have boys and girls hockey coming up on Saturday, back-to-back doubleheader. But that is going to do it for this edition of CTN Sports Night. I want to thank everybody out there for joining us and continuing to support everything we do here at CTN. For the entire crew, including Howie Shapiro, I'm Joe Young, saying good night.